PETG piles up, prints pay the price, Prusa prints pasta, pops the fan, and data drain with dubious downloads detected. Oh yeah, and Elegoo actually listened. Again. All this and more, PrintFix Friday, episode 217. Let's get into it. Starting off strong here with a PETG print that is dealing with first layer blobbing. We can see they're using a 0.2 nozzle, so very high detail. They're saying 0.8, but I assume they really mean 0.08 millimeter layers on the Cheaty Q2. You know, the quality of the print looks pretty decent when it's all said and done, especially for an FDM part. That's filament. That's not resin. It's a low quality print for resin, but for filament, actually, it's pretty decently high quality print. But see, the issue that we're running into are these blobs on that first layer. This is a Cheaty Q2, so it's very similar to the +4 that we have and use here in our print farm. The thing that we find with those machines, they really don't do a great job of cleaning off that nozzle during the purging process for that first layer to get everything primed up and ready to go. We would recommend that if you're doing a part that is using very fine layers, that needs very high detail, to make certain that that nozzle is clean before it touches the build plate. A great way to do this is just have a brass brush or cleaner brush ready, so as soon as that nozzle comes out of the purge bay, you can hit it with the brush before it goes and starts the print. The other thing to note with PETG is that if your bed temperature is too low, it's not gonna stick all of that well, and what it will stick very well to is your hot nozzle. Now, unless you actually need to be using PETG for some reason, PLA is absolutely a better material for high detail FDM parts because it isn't as likely to string, to stick, and to get gummy the way that PETG does. Looking at the print, I would say the first layer looks pretty clean, but it's not very glossy, and a first layer should be pretty darn glossy because it's running relatively slow. I'm guessing here that your print temperatures are also a little bit too cold right now, and it's best to turn those temperatures up. The reason that I'm thinking of this is that at the ends of the lines here, we can see the material gets quite a bit shinier. So that means we're not getting enough temperature on these movements. Yes, it is a little bit close. We can see those ridges in between the lines, but quite frankly, for a small print with a 0.2 millimeter nozzle and 0.08 millimeter layer heights, I actually think this is perfectly fine. The next few layers will take care of this, and it's not that big of a deal. I'd be more worried about bed adhesion on these small parts anyways, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. The blobs themselves, I actually think are going to be from leftover material on the hot end. If that is not the case, and it is coming up from the print, work on your temps and see what you can do there, and I still think it would be a good idea no matter what to work on those temps. As we said, if you don't need to use PETG, don't. It is a much more difficult material to print in very small amounts like we see here. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and hey, while you're down there, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. My name is Grant, this is 3D Musketeers and PrintFixFriday, where we help you get your printers back to printing with purpose. And if you are going through issues with your 3D printer, film a video, tell us the settings, post it to YouTube, and tag us in that description at 3D Musketeers so that we'll get notified of it and we can help you solve your problems. There is no cost to this, you don't have to be a member, but hey, if you do want to support the efforts, links to all that are in the description down below. Moving on to Aziz Design Works, whose name I almost always butcher, so I'm sorry if, once again, I get it wrong, but they've got a bit of a WTF moment here with their Prusa CORE One. Not the CORE 1L, which we recently unboxed and looked at. If you want to see that live stream, we'll card to it, so you guys can take a look. Really enjoyed that machine and are already beating the hell out of it. But we can see that this print has turned into some thick spaghetti. Do we call that linguine? It's not angel hair, I'll tell you that much. Linguine? And the fan has actually completely fallen off. I don't know if it's sheared a bolt or a bolt's broken or it's just backed itself out, but suffice to say, the cooling duct is less than happy. We can see it's even, looks like it's collapsed a little bit there too. We can see here that nothing that some welding gloves and a few brushes can't fix. Good thing they were sloppy with the Slice Engineering nozzle paint, but we can see that, well, they also found a pretty big blob, and this was some III D Max Silk PLA, which absolutely explains why this spaghetti looks larger. It's because of the die swell that occurs with Silk PLA. Silk PLA is a mixture of PLA and TPU, generally speaking. In fact, we showed you exactly how to do it in a video we filmed about a year back with Printed Solid, where we made our own custom filament at Printed Solid. This is kind of the nice thing about the Prusa Nextruder. It's reasonably well serviceable. I do wish that it was easier to change over the nozzles one-handed. You still kind of need to put a jig on it to keep the actual heat block in the right orientation. And it would be nice to see some sort of staking into the main heatsink, but I think as far as a standard flow hot end, it's not a bad solution, but, you know, certainly has some refining opportunities. The thing that confuses me the most about this is not the Blob of Doom, it's not the linguini, it is absolutely the fact that the fan bolt is gone. It looks like the fan duct might have sustained some damage, although might just need the bolt put back up and life would be good. But this is part of the deal with 3D printing, and especially silk materials. If you're going to run them fast, make sure you run them much hotter than you think is necessary. Standard PLA temps are not appropriate for silk filaments, and you'll want to start on slow printers at like 220 with most silks, and on high-speed printers like a Core One with a high-flow nozzle, you would want to run like at least 240 to keep it from doing things like this. But silk does have a tendency to have incredibly low interlayer bonding. Maybe the machine smacked into the part, and that's maybe what caused the part to fall off, and the fan duct to get kicked to the side like that. I don't know. Thankfully, it's all pretty easily fixable stuff, and looks like we have a safe rescue of the hot end. Might end up putting a new sock on it, but otherwise, the fan's on, which tells us it is registering temperature. So, all's well that ends well. Let me know your thoughts. I know it feels like we've beat this one into oblivion at this point. The Bambu A1 AC board melting the bottom cover. Nobody else seems to want to talk about it. I don't understand why other creators are not talking about this problem. We have more Bambu A1s with these AC module boards failing. We have 4 in hand right now, 3 from 240 volt countries, 1 from a 110 volt, and I think there might be another one waiting for me out in the mailbox. But I want you guys to know this issue is still ongoing. This one is from 4 days ago, and this one is also from 4 days ago. Identical issues, identical machines, and these are not from the same areas of the world. So I want you guys to know we are still working on this. If you do have a Bambu A1 that does have a burned bottom side like this, has that AC board that has melted or gotten burned, please reach out to us. We will cover all costs associated with getting those burn boards in hand so that we can get them tested by professionals. I want to know what you guys want to see for this. We are getting to the point where I think we have enough samples to start sending them off and getting them tested. And I don't want to wait too long for this, because the longer we wait, the higher chances that we have of something actually going wrong. Love to know y'all's thoughts, what you want to see tested. If you want us to do any testing here, we want to get to the bottom of this and solve it for everybody, because you don't want your machine having this problem. But if you do have an A1 purchased from November 2024 to present, please do check that, and please do not leave the printer on when you are not around. A further one on Bambu is that Bambu Handy is triggering a Netgear Armor alert saying the app can harm your device, gather personal data, or operate without your consent. Uninstall the app to stay safe. And another user saw that Bitdefender came up as well. I was more than happy to say, well, that's just Netgear, okay? It's Netgear, it is what it is, but Bitdefender and Windows Defender are pretty darn decent these days. Like this person says, Netgear alert or not, unless you are in LAN mode, every communication between your computer and the printer, including your live webcam, is going through their servers, and there is nothing you can do to know what they do with it. But it's not just Bambu, it's everything. Everything steals data of any form now. It's the norm. Governments do absolutely nothing about it, and if they aren't spying on the people themselves already. Yeah, we just got one of those flock cameras installed at the end of my street. I've already started the process of working with the local PD to try to show them how bad those flock cameras actually are, to get that stupid thing removed, because it's just getting sold to the highest bidder. And do not tell me that it's secure, because there's no such thing as a secure cloud system, period. Remember, in cloud systems like this, you always have to get lucky. The attackers only have to get lucky once. And if you tell me, well, this one's different, I don't believe you. Prove it. where does this leave us, right? I've told you guys before to be very careful about apps and things like that you install on your phones. That's a big deal to be knowledgeable of, and certainly it's nice that you have a router that can help you better understand what is also going through your phone and your computer. But guys, you have to understand that if companies are collecting and storing your data, it has value to it. Don't just give it away for free. Please, if you're using machines with cloud connections, unless you absolutely 100% need it, take it off the network. There's no reason to have your machines connected to the cloud. Ooh, if you want to look at your machine remotely, put a webcam on it and log into a random computer remotely and look at the webcam through that. That's fine, and that's much more secure than trusting, well, wherever those video images go, because remember, a lot of machines can see outside of their own enclosures, which means if those images fall into the wrong hands, they can be used for presence detection. Is that a stretch? Sure. Is it impossible? Absolutely not. Before you say, oh, look at him bashing Bambu again. Yeah, Prusa, you're in my sights too. We have the Core One camera using an absurd amount of data when not in use. This person's been tracking it, and in just the last 9 hours of them checking, it used 1.36 gigabytes of data, and they've not even used their printer today. They don't have Prusa Slice or Prusa Connect open on any device, and I agree that it seems excessive that it only operates at like 1 frame per 20 seconds. The latest firmware update does fix that from what I'm told, but this is why we don't put webcams on our printers, and when we do have them pre-installed, we unhook them. They're saying, I can only imagine how wasteful this is on the end of the Prusa cloud service taking all this traffic. Maybe if they fix this, they could afford to give us faster camera updates when we're actually printing stuff. That's a mood that I can't legitimately disagree with at this time. But Tommy from the Prusa team is saying that apparently this is correct and expected behavior. And no, it's not. It's not correct and expected behavior. It might be if you're not utilizing a decently tuned firmware for your cameras, but there is no reason that a camera should be uploading an image of what it can see every, 12 seconds? That's unreasonable. And I don't believe that saying that this is correct and expected behavior is actually the right decision here. Yes, IP cameras will use a ton of data, but if I'm not viewing it, why? It should not be running until I want to view it, and then we can start, and then we can push the data through, and then we can shut it off. There are people out there that have metered internet connections that don't know that this is what's occurring. And 1.36 gigs of data every 9 hours is quite a bit of data on people that have data caps. Now, those of you that don't have data caps might say, it's no big deal. But imagine if you had like 20 of these in a print farm. All of a sudden, that is a lot of data that is getting sent. The difference between Prusa and Bambu is that Prusa is in the EU, and they must comply with EU security and privacy laws, so it's slightly safer, but I don't trust anybody's cloud. It's not worth it. Tommy, Prusa, and I'm sure there are Prusa staff watching this because I'm going to be tagging them, you need to change this. It is not acceptable, nor is it expected behavior of an IP camera to be sending data like this. I could easily say that means the camera is spying on somebody. And we can see that Tommy continues saying that they're working on a slightly different solution that would allow us to upload the photos only when needed or requested, but there is no specific ETA. I'm sorry, guys. This to me is not an acceptable amount of traffic when it comes to an IP camera, especially one that isn't being commanded to send any photos. Companies don't need this data. There's no reason for them to have it, and I am calling out both Bambu and Prusa to solve these problems post-haste. I'd love to know your thoughts. Traditionally, Prusa is very good at dealing with consumer feedback. The big VFA issue has got to be one of the best examples of Prusa actually listening to their users, and certainly all the changes they did to the Core One L, which please, for the love of God, I need them to come to the original Core One. There are so many nice features of the Core One L that I am just now realizing I need in my life on the Core One OG. Please do that. But Elegoo here has actually done something again that I have not expected out of them. So if I had a hat, I would take it off. So I'll leave it up to Editor Rob to pick a hat, because he is the man of many hats, and take it off. We can see that Elegoo has posted a public response to the head cables of the Centauri Carbon, which we have been collecting. Nobody sent them in yet, but we have been collecting them to get them tested. However, Elegoo has now started the process of fixing the problem. While we are happy to still continue to get them tested, Elegoo has actually addressed most of what I would be concerned with here. We can see they've done internal tests for flammability, aging, and temperature cycling. We can see they've got future optimizations inside of the Centauri series already planned. And certainly, I think, and it seems obvious to me, that if the cable just came out of the top and was just bent, rather than coming out at a 90-degree angle, it would probably be fine. You've got the room to come straight out. There's no reason it has to be at the side. But we can see the new design here versus the current design. It is certainly bending a whole lot less. Instead of the cable coming out toward the front of the machine, it now goes off to the left of the machine. This is what happens when a company listens to its users. And while I am a little bit miffed that the Centauri Carbon has really felt like users have been paying to be beta testers, because the Centauri Carbon 2 has already leaked with looks like a top hat taken straight from Doug Dimmadome.
My name is Doug Dimmadome.
And we can see that they are actually listening, but I feel like it's too little too late on this one. Yes, these machines are cheap. Yes, users have dealt with this. No, it has not been a hugely systemic problem, but we recognize that it is a matter of time before your cable will have issues. I'm glad that Elegoo is getting ahead of this. It's nice to see companies that are actually listening to their consumers, but I wish they would have done it sooner. Their promise is that they will provide a free upgrade cable to customers in need, but that does require you to have an already damaged cable. And I'm sorry, but if I owned any Centauri Carbons, I would want these brand new cables as quickly as humanly possible. Now, looking at it, it does just look like a regular USB-C cable to me, so, you know, do with that what you will. I would like to see Elegoo just be able to attach a purchase order to the person's account, like say, okay, we can see this, that you bought it from here, here, here. Yes, you have this many machines, we will send you this many cables, and allow the users to buy spares. I think it would be important to keep a spare around. Certainly, if your A solution didn't work, I have a little bit of concern that the B solution might have similar issues, and I wouldn't want to have downtime. That's why we have this show. It's to keep you from having less downtime on your printers. And if you like that kind of thing, you know, let me know. Leave a like, subscribe. And certainly if you are looking to buy a Centauri Carbon 1, if it doesn't have that right cable, find a way to get the new one. I would not be trusting that old cable. It's not one that I would put my money on personally. What do you guys think? Is this an appropriate response in an appropriate amount of time? Do you think it's too little too late? I'd love to know your thoughts. For me, I think that they should have seen this problem coming. Decent testing would have shown this, and anybody that actually reviews printers and reviews them properly would have found out this issue as well, because real reviews take real time. And if you are looking for a content creator to make a review of a product that hasn't been out for at least a couple of months, then you're just looking for someone that's going to tell you what you want to hear. Real reviews take a very long time, and we recognize there's some holes in that space. So if you've made it this far in this video, and you agree with me that there needs to be a better solution for 3D printer reviews, maybe you have some skills in writing, website design, or something like that, and you'd like to be involved, email us, youtube@3dmusketeers.com, and use the title of the email, 3D Printer Review Website 217, which is the episode number for this episode. We are actively seeking out team members to assist us because, well, we're tired of having crap reviews out there, and we want to change it, and we want to make it better. This will be real people, real reviews, no AI BS, because that's not the kind of company that we run here. Is it going to cost a bunch of money? You're damn right. But is it what we need in this industry right now? Yes. Issues like this shouldn't happen, and they should be caught, and we want to make sure that, if nothing else, we can do our best to keep manufacturers honest and accountable for their actions. I'm glad that Elegoo is taking care of this, but I really would have liked to not have this problem in the first place. Let me know your thoughts down in those comments, and a huge thank you goes out to all the channel members' names who are listed right next to me at the $5 tier and higher. Remember, if you do want to support the efforts that we do here, you can do so by clicking those links in that description down below and joining for as little as $1. And hey, at the $10 chain, you get to come hang out in our private Discord server. And if you do want to hang out in person, we'll be at Maker Faire tomorrow, Saturday, the 8th of November, 2025. If you do want to come see us, say hi, get a photo, whatever it is, we always like to interact with fans when we can out at events. Hope to see you there. That is all we have for you all today. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to call your loved ones. And as always, keep making awesome. Have a good one.